Good afternoon to you. You're watching K24 and my name is Hayakawa. This is Inside Business. Let's take a look at our first story for today. Kenya could find itself locked out of the international financial system if a proposal by National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich to grant tax amnesty to Kenyans wishing to bring back home money stashed abroad sails through in Parliament. According to tax experts, the move by Rotich, through facing resistance elsewhere, will benefit the country by increasing its foreign reserve. Faisal Ahmed reports.
In 2014, diaspora remittances to Kenya totaled 142 billion shillings, a figure that was sure to be surpassed by October 2015, indicating the growing relevance of Kenyans sending money back home. No wonder that was one of the features during the National Treasury Cabinet Secretary's budget policy statement in Parliament. He proposed to a tax amnesty for Kenyans provided that they submit their return and accounts for the year of income 2016 between 1st January and 31st December 2017. Francis Kamau, a tax expert at Ernst & Young, says that the move by the government was to allow in money tax-free without checking the sources, indicating that apart from the government looking for liquidity, this aims to increase foreign direct investment.
The immigration of such particular people who are in diaspora would, of course, come and reside in Kenya. That's the first impact, and of which is good for the economy because they are people with more economic muscle.
Kamau points out that other countries have issued the same tax amnesty, increasing the amount of economic activity in the country. However, he was quick to point out that the blanket amnesty might be abused by rogue individuals for terrorism funding, money laundering, drug and human trafficking, among other illicit tradings.
The government of USA has come up with what they are calling Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act to ensure there is no money laundering, and especially money laundering touches on the ills of the community or the society in terms of ivory trade. We have drugs, and we have all kinds of monies that can be out there.
If the move is approved, Kenya could find itself in a direct collision course with the Financial Action Task Force, which monitors proceeds from money laundering and terrorism activities globally. It also puts Kenya at loggerheads with the US government, which is very sensitive on how its trading partners monitor their financial sectors. Faisal Ahmed, K24 Business.
Helios Investment Partners, the new majority shareholders of Telkom Kenya, has unveiled the new managers of Telkom Kenya. The telco has tapped a former Orascom executive, Aldo Marus, to be Chief Executive Officer of the company. Amir Atwi joins the company as the head of the Mobile Business Division and John Barorot as the Chief Technical and Information Officer. And as Sarah Adam now reports, the new management has their work cut out to return the telco to profitability despite competition from other telecommunication companies.
The company has reorganized its structure into 4 business divisions, namely mobile, fixed, wholesale, and interestingly, real estate. According to Eddie Njoroge, the chairman of Telkom Kenya, the team that was picked is experienced and can be able to take on the competitive market. Aldo Merius, an engineer by profession and a former group chief finance officer of Orascom Telkom Media and Technology Holding. An Egypt-based listed company takes over from Vincent Lobry, who has served the firm from September 2014. Amir Atwi, the incoming head of the mobile business division, was the managing director at Comium, a mobile telecoms operator in Gambia. He also previously worked at Libanecell, a mobile operator in Lebanon. John Barorota, the former Safaricom Chief Technical Officer, has been appointed as the Chief Technical and Information Officer, replacing Jean Maria Garcia. The new management structure is also meant to reduce the number of executive reporting to the CEO to 4 from the current 9.
Orange, Kenya was probably 1% of their revenues. For Helios, this is a big deal. This is a big transaction for them.
The management restructuring comes on the backdrop of the conclusion of the sale of 70% stake that France Telecom held in Telkom Kenya to private equity firm Helios Partners. Helios now controls 60% of the mobile operator after it seceded 10% of the government, increasing the government stake to 40% from the previously 30%. Marius is credited with playing a fundamental role in the growth of Orascom from a mid-sized regional mobile operator into a global operation that ultimately merged with Vimpol Company Limited to create one of the world's largest telecommunication carriers. Sarah Adam, K24 Business.
Now, Mining Cabinet Secretary Dan Kazungu has stated that the new Mining Act that was assented to law by President Uhuru Kenyatta will largely benefit Kenyans, especially small-scale miners. Under this act, government has put in place a formal structure to allow communities accustomed to small-scale mining on their lands to continue participating, thus benefiting from the mining sector under this act as a demonstration of the government's commitment to uplift the living standards of the community. Kazungu further said that the Kenya is a regional leader in many ways expected to set the example for others to follow.
An investment, a mining company must sign up a regulation called the Community Development Agreement, CDA, which means that you must ensure that this is not just a CSR game anymore. You must sit down and look at what you can contribute to the community in terms of socio-economic infrastructure.
And it's time now for Corporate Talk. Joining me in studio live is Tony Nyagah, who is the CEO and co-founder for Strauss Energy. Now, as you all know, the GES Summit happened last year and in Nairobi. Now, this year it's happening in California, and we have about 11 different representatives who shall be presenting their ideas, Tony being one of them. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Maya. Pleasure to be here.
Could you please give me a little bit of a background of Strauss Energy and how the idea came about?
Okay, so Strauss Energy was birthed from a gap that we saw in terms of energy. Kenya, for example, has only been able to generate about 2,300 megawatts for the last 50 plus years. Next year, we're saying we need to add at least 5,000 plus, which is almost like a tall order if we go as business as usual. So we said, what contribution can we make to bridge this gap? And we thought that all the agencies of energy can continue generating power, but we can also catalyze to bridge this gap by making everybody who has a house a small shareholder or partaker of the energy space, so that you can now generate power from your rooftop or your anywhere within your house, even your windows, your pavement. And if you have excess, you can give extra back to the grid and get some credit out of it. So that way makes you a smaller, like a small Kenyan or a small power producer.
And of course, you'll be presenting this business idea in the GES Summit happening next week, I believe, from the 22nd. How did you come across the opportunity for you to actually present for the GES?
Actually, my co-founder is the one. She's actually already in the US. She's the architect. She's the one who will be presenting this opportunity. But yes, it started by us taking part in a forum in San Francisco called GIST, which is a science and technology for startups, which they believe scientific companies that are born from scientific projects, which they believe are going to change the world. And we were finalists in this forum, and that's why we were invited to the GES space. Yes.
And what are some of your expectations as you are getting ready to go? What are you hoping will be the outcome of the visit?
So being a young company, we have already done a few, we just have like the first few customers, and we have a lot of many other customers waiting, and we need to build our company to scale, basically to build the capacity to meet the demand that we're getting out there in the market. And one of the things we will be interacting with investors, and we hope we can get an opportunity to represent Kenya well and get investors bring their money more investors bring their money back here in Kenya. Yes.
And now solar power has, everyone has always had that perception that it's very expensive, especially venturing into as a business.
Yeah.
How was it that you were able to build that capital for you to start your business?
So actually it is just out of friends and family. That's how we most of us were working like the corporate world. We are 3 founders. The lady in the US is also my younger sister. She's an architect. She was working for one of the top architectural firms. We have another lady who was also my classmate. It started as a school project in master's class, and I was at IBM myself. So we built a little bit of what we had saved, and then we got our families to chip in and our friends. And that's how we've come this far. So about 18, 20 months, and we're hoping that in the next 1-2 years, at least we will scale to meet at least about the next 10,000 houses that is now on the line. Yeah.
And how do you make it affordable for your clients?
So yes, you're right when you say that solar energy has been perceived to be expensive. One of the things that is that sort of like beefs up the initial capital for solar is the component supporting it, which is batteries, for example. And we've been able to come up with a model whereby somebody doesn't need to pay the entire amount up front. You just pay for just what you need to pay. For example, we have integrated our solar cells into normal roofs, so we've made the roof to be the same price as a normal roof so that you can start using it. But we supply you with electricity such that over time you pay us like a monthly, instead of whatever it is you're budgeted for your electricity, that's what you pay, about 30% less of that. So over time we will have recouped back our money. You will have your good-looking roof, for example. You'll have electricity in your house, and you'll have cut your electricity bills by like 30%. And within between 7-10 years, we will have already recouped all our money, and you will continue using our service. So that way we become profitable, and the person, the homeowner or the office owner, whoever is putting up the building, is also able to afford it at whatever they had budgeted for. So that's how we've been able to cut the price from the upfront capital that is required for solar.
And in terms of the monthly bills, would it come just once from Strauss Energy, or would we have to also have a KPLC bill by the end of the month?
Yeah, so that's a good question. What happens is that whatever it is that you had budgeted for to pay for your electricity bill, whether it is KPLC or any other utility, because we're not just doing this in Kenya, we provide you with that electricity. And so basically, whatever you need to pay Kenya Power and what you need to pay us, we reduce that bill by 25 to 30%, whatever it is. Then we take part of that portion, and Kenya Power takes their portion. Now, there's something else that I need to say, because there's a bill that is pending in Parliament called net metering. And that means that if you can generate more power than you need, you can as well sell power back to the grid. And that is also one of the other ways we will be able to bring the costs of solar even lower, because if you're actually getting paid for the power that you're generating, because for as long as your roof is up there, the sun is up, you're generating power. So when you don't need it, you can sell it back to the grid. And we hope that the wisdom of Parliament will see that sense, and before August we hope that bill will be passed and even lower the barrier for entry.
So I remember last year during the summit, President Barack Obama actually said that entrepreneurship is a spirit.
Yeah.
And this year we have about 11 participants
Correct.
from Kenya going to present. What do
Correct.
you make out of this? What does this say about Kenya and our innovativeness?
Wow, the air is hot out there. I mean, you can find all these a lot of people are sort of, the bug is biting a lot of people. People had ideas, but they did not know how to go out there and sort of begin. I've gone to various acceleration and incubation hubs where young businesses are being hatched, and it's amazing, the spirit that, like you say, the Kenyan spirit. So we have a lot more people beginning business or enterprises, which compared to 5-10 years ago today in Kenya. So I would say that it is picking up. People encouraging each other, so we're able to actually get more entrepreneurs out
and in
there.
terms of the spirit of entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
is it inborn or is it something that just develops as you go along? What was your experience in building that for yourself?
All right, you see, like me, I've been employed for 10, maybe 15 years now or so, but I've also run a business from its foundation up to as a co-founding member. So I think I like the entrepreneurship better. Much as the employment is good because of its stability and all, and eventually even the entrepreneur becomes an employee of the company, so that you actually commit yourself to the results that you have promised, for example, if you get investors. So I would say, to answer your question, yes, there is the inborn thing. If, for example, you have a fire in you that is always disturbing you, that you need to do something, this idea, you need to implement it. But it can also be nurtured in terms of maybe the environment or the surrounding. Yeah, so I think I can't like just put a blanket statement, say it's inborn, but I think there's the bug, for example, that if the idea is too compelling that you cannot rest, you cannot be at peace with yourself until you see it come to fruition. That is what sort of like powers that. But again, you still need the other formal, stable grounding, so that at least when you, for example, if you employ, because you'll have employees, many employees, and you have to treat them, you have to know how that other side is. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you for joining us here at Inside Business. And I'd like to wish you all the best as you go to the summit next week.
Thank you, Maya. Appreciate it.
All right, moving on to other stories. In Uganda, a village savings and loan program is helping both refugees and their hosts start businesses. The project, started 2 years ago, has mobilized over 139 community members and is helping support farmers and small business owners. Uganda also allows refugees to have access to the same services as Ugandan nationals, including the right to work and establish their own businesses. Let's take a look at that story.
Rebecca is entertaining her customers at a small shop in Rwamwanja, southwest Uganda. She is a refugee from the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. She fled her country in the year 2012 when fighting broke out in her village back home. She says she had nothing when she arrived in Uganda, but through a savings and loan program, she now runs a drink store in her host country. Rwamwanja houses about 52,000 refugees from DRC and Rwanda. Violent unrest in eastern Congo in recent years has seen tens of thousands of refugees cross into neighboring Uganda for shelter. 2 years ago, Rebecca joined a project known as the Village and Savings and Loan Program, a community credit facility that allows refugees access cheap credit. Members are allowed to borrow and save under the project. Uganda is widely recognized as having progressive refugee and asylum policies. Upon receiving refugee status, refugees are provided with small areas of land in villages integrated within the local host community to allow both refugees and host communities to live together peacefully. Refugees have access to same services as Ugandan nationals. They have the right to work and establish their own businesses. They enjoy freedom of movement and even given land for agricultural use, reducing dependency on humanitarian aid. Zawadim Dibo, Inside Business.
That was a story there by Zawadi Mudibo looking at how refugees are playing a role in businesses. It's time now for Tokenomics. I'm joined in studio here by Osita, who is the Managing Director of Footprint to Africa. So thank you for joining us here.
Thank you, please.
Could you give us in a few sentences what Footprint to Africa is all about?
Footprint to Africa is a business and financial news at faith. And it also focuses on bridging investment opportunities in Africa. So it encourages intra-African trade.
All right. And now you have two segments which you're launching in Africa, which is in 10 minutes and Market Square Africa.
Yes.
What is it that you're aiming to do through these segments?
We noticed in the last 18 months that over 85% of our followers on Footprint to Africa platform come from mobile devices. And you see the trend in the world now that everyone is going mobile. So we incorporated Africa in 10 minutes as a TV segment of Footprint to Africa. So when you go on the Footprint to Africa platform, instead of reading the news, you can just tap on Footprint to Africa, Africa in 10 minutes, and then get all that has happened around Africa, business-wise, in 10 minutes. So that's why it's called Africa in 10 minutes. But the Market Square Africa takes you away from the media. The Market Square Africa is designed primarily to support SMEs in Africa. So it is a hub, a platform where SMEs come, form joint ventures, partnerships, create synergies, and grow.
And what economies are you looking at, and who is your target?
Oh, it's open to all SME business owners, no matter what your business is. You see, we also noticed, having traveled around Africa in the last 2 years, promoting Footprint to Africa, that the core problem of African SME business owners is finance, access to finance. You see, not that the finance is not available. The finance is out there. There are wonderful finance firms out there, supporting African startups or SMEs. But the problem is the structure of African SME businesses. Majority of these SME businesses are family-owned. And because they are family-owned, so they find it difficult to access finance. So we created the Market Square Africa as a platform where you can come, bring your business, I bring my business, we form collaboration. So let us say, for instance, that we are in Kenya now, and then you have a farmland. Okay, you have a 10 hectare of farmland in Kenya, and you want to do cassava. You want to have a cassava processing plant, okay? But the farmland is all that you have. So you go on the Market Square Africa, and you say, I am Maya, right? I am Maya, and I have got a 10 hectares of land, and I'm looking for the right farmer or the right agricultural company in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Uganda, in Japan, in China, because the platform allows you to streamline your search. So such people who have appetite for Africa, who have appetite for Kenya, go on that website, get that information, connect you, you form partnership, and you grow your business.
What are the outcomes, the impact that really have stood out for you as a company?
I can tell you what. We developed this platform last year, started it as a test program on the 23rd of January. And within the first 21 days, we had over 250 companies coming on the Market Square Africa, posting their businesses, looking for opportunities for partnership, joint ventures. And we looked at it and we said, okay, hold on a second, okay? So we can take this further, because at that point it was at a developmental stage. So we can take this further, and we approached some stakeholders, talked to a lot of people, and we saw the viability and the support this platform will give to African business SMEs. So we launched it proper on the 30th of April in Nigeria. And on that launch, I was very surprised that the Minister for Industry, Trade and Investment in Nigeria stood up to say, listen, this is the future of African business. Okay? Then, 6 days after, you know what happened? Manufacturers Association of Israel registered on the platform. Today, we are discussing with the Small and Medium Enterprise Agency Development in Nigeria to partner with them to support the SME base through the Market Square Africa. So we are taking the message beyond West Africa. We are bringing the message to East Africa. We are launching on the 1st of September at the Haitian, after which we enter the South African market.
And how is Market Square designed to help SMEs reduce their dependency on loans?
Fantastic. You are a shoemaker in Nairobi, and you want to go to the next state, okay? You need agents, you need distributors, right? You figure out that you have a market for your product in Kampala, in Rwanda, right? So you don't need to go to the bank to say, oh, hold on, I need a loan. I need to open a branch in Uganda. I need to go. No. You go on the Market Square Africa, you post that business. Someone who is in Kampala already, who is in that industry, contacts you. So he becomes your agent. He becomes your distributor. Someone outside Nairobi contacts you, becomes your agent, becomes your distributor. I contact you from Nigeria. I become your agent. I become your distributor. You don't have to come to Nigeria. You don't have to advertise in Nigeria. I don't have to come to Kenya. We meet on the Market Square Africa. So I don't need loan anymore. And guess what? This is going to help Africa grow. I tell you, because I do not need money to start this business beyond where I have started. So I don't need to go to the bank. And that man in Nigeria who is representing you, you are not paying his rent. You don't pay his workers. You don't pay his electricity bill. He pays those bills through selling those shoes that you make in Nairobi. So he's not going to call you one morning and say, oh, I'm sick, I'm not going to open office today. Because if he doesn't open office to sell those shoes, he's never going to get money. So yours will be concentrate in your area. You are an SME-based company in Africa. Concentrate in your area. Seek collaboration. Don't look for finance.
All right, thank you so much for that. Thank you for sharing. I love that idea, just talking about how technology has really played a role in, in being able to move us forward. So thank you for joining us. That was Osita, who is the Managing Director of Footprint to Africa. That brings us to the end of our show today. Thank you for joining us. You can join us once again tomorrow. Do stay tuned for Sports Up next.